off the back of the tackle on Connor where the ball went forward. I thought that was a brilliant defence into attack type play and really good execution, like quickly switching on to being in attack mode. I thought that was a great try. And I've already talked about the 3 tries whilst they were a man down. I think whilst I did say before I prefaced our chat by saying I think Hull were the main reason for this result rather than Cass, you can't take anything away from Cass. They totally bossed that second half.
You can only play what's in front of you.
Yeah, they did everything. They did everything right. Cass did everything right, apart from the Jake Mamo thing for me. But obviously, I've interpreted that wrong. Couple of bits of news. Cass Tigers winger Jason Garry has joined Championship outfit Whitehaven on loan. Kane Robb has also returned to Whitehaven on loan. He made 7 appearances for them earlier this year. I would suspect that Gary isn't going to be there very long because Castleford coach Lee Radford has confirmed that fullback Niall Evans will take no further part in 2022 after suffering a shoulder injury. And Radford's confirmed that Nathan Massey will play no further part in 2022 as well due to injury. So issues in the backs and the forwards in terms of injuries for Cass. They've already had injuries in the halves as well. They are a team that are injury hit. Certainly significantly, I think, at the moment. So the form they've been on, the run they've been on, the wins in particular against Huddersfield and Catalans at home, but then this win as well, I think throw into that because they had to come through some adversity to get this win. You have to say there seems to be a lot of enjoyment and positivity and togetherness in that group at Castleford, and I'd give some credit to Lee Radford for that. Lee Radford seems so much more relaxed and enjoying the experience than he seemed to be when he was at Hull FC, in a side that was equally a playoff side, a winning side, probably a better squad than what he's coaching now and stuff. He just seems to be relaxed, and I'm not just basing this on him being happy after this game because there's been other stuff. He's had the interview on the Out of Our League podcast and stuff recently and stuff like that. It just seems to be a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, I think, he's talked to, hasn't he, about how being at Hull's like a pressure cooker, there's no escape from it, and I wonder whether,
Yeah, for him not being there, it's a different kettle of fish for him, innit? Because he cared in every which way about Hull. I'm not saying he doesn't care about Cass, but you're right, yeah, it's a different feeling for him.
Yeah. And he'd been there as a player. And again, I've said this before, I think that, that's not always the best thing, a player becoming a coach. He had a long history with Hull. I don't know.
Yeah. But he's got things right. He's got things clicking anyway from some points of view at Cass there. Right, that's the TV games done with. Let's move on to the other games. Warrington versus Hull KR was also played out on Friday night. And another one where the home side were leading at half-time but lost at the end. Warrington was 16-12 up but ended up 30 points to 22 losers to the Robins. 7,551 were there. That suggests to me that there's Warrington fans staying away because that's 1,000 or 2 down on what they'd be expecting. Jack Smith was the referee. Hull KR won this game despite making less than 1,000 metres. That doesn't happen very often. It was 360 metres less than Warrington too, so something's gone wrong there for Wire. They did make one more break, Rovers, but that doesn't really explain the win because they also had a sub 90% team tackle success rate. No one wins if they go under 1,000 metres and under 90%. It was 4.5% worse than Wire in that category. They also conceded more penalties in what was the most penalised game this year. 9-12 was the count, 21 penalties in total. So I don't know how they won this one.
No. But individually, it was George King with 43 tackles. This is for Rovers. And Ryan Hall with 1 try assist, 108 metres. And Corbin Sims with 1 try assist, 102 metres. In terms of Warrington, it was Matty Ashton with 137 metres. Jake Wardle with 2 tries and 132 metres. Josh Thulis with 5 tackle busts and 110 metres. And Joe Bullock with 104 metres.
EFC 78JU said, not sure how we do it, winning at half-time and lost in the end. Their tries were just making it too easy for them. At least they tried to stop us from scoring, but they just couldn't in the end. Can this very Barmy Army fan base suffer even more and end their misery at Huddersfield Giants? But we will stay up just about. Powell and Fitzpatrick are to blame for getting shitty players, and also they can fuck off.
Wow. Lewis said, we are shite, we've got a shit coach, we've got serious relegation worries and a board that seems to think this is okay.
And Tom Andrews said, another win where we are beating almost every stat category. Some quality performances from King and Corbin, in brackets, yes, really. Yeah, I think Corbin Sims, from what I've read and watched, had his best game. Maybe his only good game for Hull KR.
Yeah, everything I've seen has been saying that as well.
Yeah. Tom said injuries are racking up with possibly 3 more this week. Wire fans were very quiet, but my Balti pie was top notch. Great evening out. Warrington started good. Jake Wardle scored 2 good tries. One a long range, one that showed his pace. One a short range, one that showed his ability to leap and get the ball and win in a collision in a contest. But then his defence was showing up a bit when you get to the Sam Wood try later on in the first half. So swings and roundabouts there. I just like. We've seen this before, haven't we, from Warrington this year? Get into a winning position at home and then throw it away. And it's not just like they can't. It's like they can't arrest any kind of flow against them, any kind of momentum against them. They're just so, people saying it, fragile, that anything starts rolling against them. Even when they're like a player up, they score a try to get a 2-score lead, and they still can't make it stick and see it home. It's just awful from Warrington's perspective. That the minds must be mush for some of those players.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of looked at the scores and, it looked like Warrington were going to win it, and then clearly, didn't.
Yeah. Corbin Sims had some late offloads and a few tackles where he, a number of defenders came in to stop him, slow him down. I think that was in the key in the build-up to a few of the scores that Hull KR rolled together in that second half. What a kick it was by Jez Litton off the back of one of those Sims runs, actually, for the Ethan Ryan try. Pinpoint from Litton, and then Ryan just flew in. The conditions maybe made it look more spectacular, his slide and sort of stuff, and the pace of it all. But Hull KR showed a lot here, but without knowing more about this game, and obviously limited fan views, that are just really strong reactions from the Warrington fans, and I don't know how much of this was Warrington collapsing or Hull KR showing heart and coming back, but because of what we've seen this season, I'm going to lean towards the wire collapsing aspect as more than anything.
Well, yeah, because that fits the narrative of the season more, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the evidence we've seen previously.
A couple of mentions about relegation potential again for Warrington. I'd say that the 2 below them have to fight with each other so much that I don't see either of those 2 sides winning a game. They'd have to win 3 games more than Warrington win from here on out. I don't see that happening, but yeah.
I feel like they should be safe.
Yeah.
But then, stranger things have happened.
Maybe if we walk over to some of the off-field stuff. Well, Corbin Sims actually had his best game for Hull KR, then got a grade B dangerous contact charge and a 1-match penalty notice. So, that's not ideal, especially when you've got a bit of an injury crisis looming. Hull KR actually have confirmed Dean Hadley will miss the rest of the season after picking up a shoulder injury recently, so that's another player that they've got injury worries about. That comes after him signing a contract extension for next year. Yeah. So yeah, good week, bad week for Dean Hadley, wasn't it? Warrington have been busy, haven't they? So they've brought in Josh Maguire on a 2-year contract for the 2022 and 23 and 24 seasons. That's a former Australian international, a former State of Origin stalwart for Queensland. But it's another really old forward, 30-odd plus forward that they're bringing in. And then they've also signed fullback Matt Duffy on a 2.5-year deal from the Canterbury Brantleystown Bulldogs. 26-year-old who scored 45 tries in 96 NRL appearances joins with immediate effect. They had some pictures of him getting his new kit on today. I think they're hoping he's going to have a dramatic impact. What I would counter that with saying he's coming from one of the worst sides in the NRL consistently over the last few years, and so that has to be kind of sort of taken into mind. If they're willing to offload him, then is he going to be as much of an impact as they hope? But having said that, he is a really quick player. He's a really elusive player. He's kind of a little bit like a rich man's Ollie Ashall-Bott, I would say. So I think he's gonna go well in Super League, would be my expectation. But I don't necessarily think he's the saviour that turns everything around at Warrington.
No, it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Yeah.
Hull KR have confirmed as well what we talked about a few weeks ago. Newcastle Knights prop Suaso Su has signed on a 3-year deal. The 30-year-old forward has 14 caps for Samoa, but he's basically said he'll sack off Samoa to get a good pre-season for Hull KR, which is either him admitting he's not up for selection this year or a weird call. But yeah, Tom Andrews got in touch. He said, looks a decent signing, good defender, bit of a grunt. Hopefully here to teach our younger props the ways. Only worry is it's a long contract and we haven't had much luck with import props.
Yeah, it ends up being swings and roundabouts, doesn't it? Because you want to snare the decent players, but invariably they want a longer contract. I
think this is a good signing. I know there's been some, like Vetti's been up and down. Corbin Sims has been mostly down in terms of their recent recruits. There's been a few they hired a few years ago that had more fun fighting than playing games. But I think from what I've seen of this guy, I think it's a good signing. And
yeah, I've heard really positive things about him. So yeah.
On to something negative, though. Hull KR have been fined £4,000, of which £2,000 has been suspended after homophobic chanting at their home matches this season. An investigation concluded that a homophobic slur had been used by supporters during 3 separate games towards one or more visiting players. The Super League club have pledged to improve CCTV at their stadium for 2023, which I think is probably warranted after other crowd troubles outside of the Rent Boy chants. In addition, the Robins must also pay a suspended £2,000 fines given for fan misbehaviour earlier this season, highlighting the need for that improved CCTV.
I think that it's rough, isn't it? I don't mean like rough as in like uncalled for, but you know, when you've got a suspended sentence and then your fans are idiots like that and seemingly just don't care.
I think fans don't realise the consequences of the behaviour.
Yeah.
And it won't be a majority of Hull KR fans. I don't know any Hull KR fans that are abusive and defensive and that sort of thing. But clearly it's been it's one of them things. I think sometimes people think songs are funny and don't realise that they might have consequences, maybe.
I must admit, I was reading an article somewhere about this and it had like most of the letters asterisked out. And I was like, I've got no idea. It was only when I was reading the comments in response to the article that I realised what it was that they were chanting. That's how seldom you hear that chant anymore, I think.
Yeah. Other than directors at Steven Gerrard in football matches, I wonder if the FA will take similar action on most football clubs for it. On to Saturday. Big game in terms of playoff implications, top 4 implications. It probably leaves, in a weird way, both sides kind of settled in that top 4 picture now. But Catalans hosted Huddersfield Giants. It was 4-4 at half-time. It was 13-12 to the Catalans by the end, with Sam Tompkins kicking the winning drop goal late on. 6,845 were there. That's the low crowd for Catalans. I'm not sure they'll be happy with that. James Child was the referee. In terms of the team stats, Catalans made 236 more metres at nearly a metre per carry better average game with twice as many breaks, 6-3. They also, though, made more errors, but conceded half as many penalties, 4-8. So I think on the stats, it suggests Catalans deserve to win this match, but they only just squeaked it. What about individuals?
Yeah, so individually, it was for Catalans, it was Jurgen Chan with 157 metres and 2 clean breaks, Mathieu Laguerre with